Hey, Spiritual Mag. Hi, my name's Sam Bell. Well, let's dive into it here. Project Paperclip. Ooh. MK Ultra. Ooh. Mind control. Ooh. What does that really mean, mind control? What does that mean, mind control? Okay, well, where's your mind? Where's your mind? Oh, it's in your head? Okay, cool. So when you die and you have a near-death experience and your body's laying on the table and it's dead, but you're seeing stuff and hearing stuff and watching stuff. They resuscitate the body and you go back into the body and you tell the doctors you saw what you saw and have a near-death experience. So where was your mind when you were watching from the ceiling looking down? Your mind was up there. Your eyeballs were down there. Your brain was down there. So mind control, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a physical thing that's on you, or is it the mind that's where the hell you're at? You know what I mean? Trying to control what you're thinking. It's kind of general. And then there's the word control. Mind control. How do you control something? Well, there's like a leash, a fence, reward, punishment, behavior. It's kind of hard to do to try to control somebody's mind with those things. I mean, really, you got all these people doing all this stuff. You can control their diet. You can control what they see on television. You can control what makes them laugh or what makes them sick. You can control a lot of stuff, but how in the hell are you going to control their mind? I mean, you got to, you know, actually on purpose control their mind. How are you going to do that? So, now you've heard of Project Paperclip, right? All these guys came there with Nazis, and then they come over and they're suddenly, they're in the United States and kind of spread out, dispersed. And then, I don't know, suddenly media's, you know, President Kennedy and Bobby and Martin and media, and then Vietnam, and then digital. Everything went digital. Obama, what? Obama, Obama made everything digital. He mandated that. Mind control. Okay, so none of that's new to you guys and girls and boys. They all know that you all because they've been telling you this stuff. You guys didn't do it. It was told you that this is what happened. And it's like, oh, good. I always wondered. I think that there might be Nazis in Ukraine. You know, someone told you that. That's in there. So digital can do stuff to your brain through the screen, digital audio, stereo, binaural, digital, visual intensities, and also dimensions. See, like on the screen, I don't know what kind of computer you got, but my screen probably looks about the size of a little hamburger. Hi, little hamburger. But if you go to like a widescreen thing with the person's head is like 12 feet wide, the person sitting in the first row, the brain hasn't done that kind of stuff that much. So then you put on the goggles. So now here's where I'm going with this. Hypnosis. Hypnosis. Is hypnosis used in mind control? Not probably. Is hypnosis been studied and applied and examined inside and out? Probably. Have people done things under hypnosis? Yeah, probably. So you know the hypnosis stuff, right? Now, these are generalized terms: mind control, MK Ultra, Project Paperclip, digital news. These are all different things that are in hypnosis. Okay? Now, are you surprised? No. You're not surprised, are you? No. You know all about this stuff? Yeah, I know this. Can't fool me, man. Well, how about if I tell you something? Correction. Let me restate that. How about if I share something with you that applies to you that nobody's ever told you? Because you're not supposed to know. Shh. Now, hypnosis. You can, there'll be a stage hypnotist and they'll say, does anybody want to be hypnotized? And, okay, you. And they come up on the stage and they're, no, I can't, no. And then go to sleep, and then they do all these things, these behaviors that are suggested, just a suggestion, you're Elvis or whatever, right? And normal people, very, very normal people, suddenly find themselves responding to suggestions. Okay? And responding to these suggestions, not knowing that they're responding. It's happening. They don't know why they're doing it. So, but you knew that already, right? You knew that already. Okay, now, here's the itsy bitsy little bit that nobody ever told anybody, because this is the big secret. Hypnosis. I'm going to read this from Google. Here we go. Hypnosis. Yes. AI overview. The hypnosis is an altered state of consciousness marked by focused attention, reduced peripheral awareness, and increased suggestibility, often induced by a guided process called hypnotherapy. In this calm, trance-like state, a person can be guided by a healthcare provider to change perceptions, behaviors, or manage conditions like pain, anxiety, or habits such as smoking. While the exact mechanism is still being studied, brain changes include reduced activity in the salience network, a better connection between the prefrontal cortex and insula, and inhibition of the self-reflection default mode network. Now, you're cool with that, right? That's the story. That's what hypnosis is. MK Ultra doesn't. Deep State, they're not using that kind of hypnosis, boys and girls, because this is the secret. Now, they take the audience. They take volunteers that go up on stage and they hypnotize people, and people do what they're told. Well, the people that didn't go up on stage, they didn't want to get hypnotized. Okay? So they didn't go up on stage. Willpower they used was to stay in their seats and not participate. That was their will. Now, if the stage hypnotist sees the person that's resisting and doesn't want to do it, He points to him and says, look, you get up there and I'm going to hypnotize you. God damn it. Well, they're not going to do that, man. They're not going to pressure the person. And the person's, then they're going to plant their feet. Say, fuck you, man. What are you talking about? Okay. So the point is, listen, please. The point is, you can get people to do all kinds of crazy ass shit, right? When they're hypnotized. But you can't get them to do something against their own free will. You can't get them to do something against their free will and they're totally spaced out in a trance. Okay? They'll do other stuff, but they won't do that. All right? So the trick here, the episode that you need to reflect on, the newborn infant, in their initial youth, what they're imprinted with is what's called a belief. A belief. Google, a belief. It's a noun. An acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Second meaning, trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. Okay. Now, so you take a youth who has a belief and then you hypnotize them. Okay. And incorporate the hypnotic suggestion with what they believe. You can have suicide bombers. You can have nations believing that their leader is a deity. You can have nationalities believing that they're the greatest and need to exterminate the other nationalities because they had a belief at the very beginning that they were superior, and then they get hypnotized and they say, round everybody up who's not. Oh, we're running out of bullets. So, you didn't know that, did you? That you can't get somebody to do something against their free will. So the trick is to get all these people when they're really little and implant suggestions that they believe. Belief and acceptance of a statement is true or that something exists. You just accept it. Okay? So those are the ones. The believers may or may not based on reality. The little guy on the white horse is God. Everybody, that's it, you know. So that's the dangerous part, because in today's world, you didn't know that. So like, I'm wearing a black shirt, so I'm sort of celebrating what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know in mind control. So in mind control, right now, you're obtaining thought forms through the screen, which are digital, from Sam Bell and his background. I have strong background in countermeasures. Okay. And right now, we are in a spiritual war. It's a war about greed for control. It's endless. So as we elevate consciousness, which basically has already happened, since you're watching this, at least, and I'm trying to share this message, this darkness disappears, and then you're able to see in the light what's actually occurring, and then the truth cleanses. The truth cleanses. And this is from, in conclusion, this is from Bloodline of the Holy Grail by Lawrence Gardner. He's passed on now, but he shares, let's see here. But just as the spirit of light had its representative on earth, so too did the spirit of darkness. It was an appointment. Spirit of darkness was an appointment held by the chief of the scribes, whose purpose was to provide a formal opposition within the hierarchical structure. A primary responsibility of the designated Prince of Darkness was to test female initiates within the celibacy, in which capacity he held the Hebrew title of Satan, accuser. The equivalent title in Greek was Diablos, aggressor, being the origin of the English word devil. The Satan's office was not unlike that of the devil's advocate, who probes the background of potential candidates for canonization by the Roman Catholic Church. Those are all the guys. Yes. So, one more sentence. The book of Revelations, the great final war between light and darkness, between good and evil, is forecast to take place at Armageddon. That's a happy ending. Now, in one sentence, Earth is schooled as challenges. We're in challenges now that are spiritual challenges as everyone elevates consciousness. The first thing you need to recognize and focus on is yourself by meditating and going within. All the information is right there connected to your heart. People are like, where's the portal? We're going to fly into Peru and find the portal. The portal's right here. It's right here in the center of your chest. And you're exercising your willpower, your ability to focus, and your unconditional love. Okay? And everything's designed this way. Divine Creator designed this planet to have so that you'll focus and move on. Everybody moves on. Whether you got an injection or not, you're going to move on. The goal is to learn your lessons with the least amount of pain. You and all your loved ones are always in my prayers. Samuel Joseph Bell, Spiritual Mag.